Hello, hello, beautifuls. And I'm going to start in English immediately because I'm going to do this girls talk today in English. And I'm super, super excited to have Charlotta with us today, with me today, and to be able to share the girls talk with you. And we are going to talk about a topic that both of us burn for, that we're on fire for. It's going to be all about how do you live a truly turned on life and how do you find the magic in your everyday life. And I am going to invite her in right now. Um, Let me see. Here we go.
You. And yeah, let's see. Here we
Hello.
go.
Hey. Good to
Hello.
see you.
Good to see you. Hold on. Whenever somebody comes in, you have to rearrange things.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Mm.
Oh, so good you're here.
Thank
How
you.
are you doing?
Ooh, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing really good. So I'm just like trying to fix my light because I recognize I'm like really gray in my face, but that's okay. We'll do it like this.
You don't seem to. No, you don't look gray.
Okay, I don't know what's
No,
going on
you
on
don't.
my screen. How are you?
I'm good. I'm bleeding, so I'm like in the middle of my period.
Yeah,
And that's how I feel. I've been laying on the couch all day and
mm,
it's fine.
that's good. I'm very happy that you can honor your bleed. I just finished mine yesterday, so I'm moving into
Mm.
spring, which is exciting.
Yeah, it is. Oh, nice one. So lovely that I already said like when I'm pleading, I'm not the most clear, I'm not the most on fire. I'm like slow in my brain, but it's completely fine. I was like, okay, this topic, I'm not on fire right now, but it's fine.
I know that we all are, and I think it's really okay, like also to just recognize that when we're in our winter, we can take it easy and we can just
Mhm.
flow and enjoy that. So it's all good.
Yeah, it's true. And for all women listening, I mean, they will recognize themselves anyway. Yeah. So, love, for all the ones listening on my side that don't know you, do you want to say real quick who you are and what you do? Who's Charlotta?
Of course,
What are
of
you?
course. Thank you. So, yeah, Charlotta is my name. I live in Finland. I'm a Swedish-speaking Finn, and I work as a confidence and sensuality empowerment coach, which
Mm,
is very exciting. So, I work under the name of the creator of Super Women, which is literally what I do. I empower all these beautiful women to step into their power to become super women themselves. And I've got this amazing drive, and this is why it's so great to talk to you right now where we are turning our superwomen on to become turned on superwomen. So it's intensely magical and it's so exciting and it's so aligned and with everything that you're doing as well. Like we're literally on the same path. It's so cool. And of course, I mean, we have some of our people from my side as well, some people who don't know you. So could you please also tell us a bit about you, Alexandra?
yes, I would love to do that. So, yeah, my name is Alexandra. I am German. I'm German speaking, but I live on Mallorca, an island belonging to Spain, for everybody that doesn't know it. And I am working as a self-love and sexual empowerment coach. So we do like the two of us. We are on the same path, and we burn for the same things. And I'm so excited to talk to you about this topic because I've like the last few months have for me have been about how do you live a turned on life? How do you find magic in everyday life?
Mm.
And that's what my new training is all about. And it's like, yeah, just to tell the story real quick, when you sent me a message about what we could talk about and you said, let's talk about being turned on, I was like, all right, I think this is aligned. We should do it. So I'm super excited to talk to you about
Thank
it.
you.
You're welcome. So, love, just like maybe first question, what do you mean when you say to live a turned on life? What does it mean to you?
To me, it's actually rather vast, and I feel like it's very individual to everyone. But if I'm like painting the picture from my very personal perspective, it would be to live a life where you're feeling that zest and you're feeling that excitement and you're enjoying the moments. And I mean, I'm a huge sucker for like the big pleasures in life, but what I've come to learn is that it's all the small everyday things that lead you to live a turned on life and not just the bigger events. So the bigger events are part of it for sure, but the smaller ones are the ones that make up
Mm,
your idea, your sense of self, what you want to bring into your everyday, when you feel creative, when you feel inspired, when you feel happy and joyful, and really when you feel alive. So to me, the turn on is a sensation and a feeling of aliveness and like being extremely present in that moment. So that is what it means to me. And I'm actually going to throw that question right back at you, because I'd love to hear how you would describe it from your side as well, because I think it's so intriguing, because all of us probably have slight variations to what it means.
Yeah, well, it is equal. I think why this is so important to me right now is because, like, I used to find my turn-ons in the big events.
Yeah.
You know, things that were coming in my life where I was looking forward to. And looking back in my life, it was always like vacation or special occasions where that turned me on. And a long time, seriously, I couldn't find that in my everyday life. Even when I started to be a coach, even when I started to do what I love, it was so hard for me to find it, because still, like, all of these beliefs were still inside of me that I need to work hard, that, you know, life is exhausting. So for me, like, what has been really important is to step back a little bit and to find the magic in the simple things. And it's like, I think that's where we match. It's about looking around and seeing magic and finding turn on in everything, you know, in the nature that surrounds me, and a beautiful made iced coffee, you know, that's just like that my man is making for me. That can be such a great turn on. I think it all starts with the decision that we make. So the moment I decide that this is going to turn me on, that this is magical, you're going to find it everywhere, and it's going to change. Well, it transforms my life. Like right now, I'm like in the process. So that is what it means for me. Yeah.
That's amazing. I love that. And what you touched upon there, which I think is so important in general for all of this, to find that, to be able to connect to these present moments, is really that act of surrendering and allowing yourself to step back. And Hannah, one of our mutual coaches, she mentioned something to me. What about being? You know, can you just be and be present, rather than, you know, the very German Finnish way of doing, you know, very masculine, driving forward, always producing something. But the feminine cycle, like the feminine flow, is kind of then not really there. So we want to move more into that feminine of allowing things and surrendering into the moments, and actually finding, as you mentioned, like seeing the magic in the small things. And you put it so beautifully. You mentioned an iced coffee. I think it's really important to tantalize all your senses. So like, what are you seeing? What are you tasting? What are you smelling? What are you feeling? What are you hearing? Like really connecting to all of these and truly becoming present. Because if you're not present, I mean, there's always something insanely beautiful happening around us. But if you're not present to experience them, you're just not going to see them. So allowing yourself to just fall back and enjoy it, it's really beautiful.
Yeah, I'm so like with you. And I'm wondering, like, the question that just popped up, why is this such an important topic to you right now? Like, why are you so on fire for this theme, for the topic?
Well, it's actually it's been very present in my life for a very long time. So even since I was like a teenager, people would call me, we have this Swedish called livsnjutare, which a direct translation would be like a person who enjoys life. And it's always been something that I strive towards. Like, I enjoy life, and it's been more so when I was younger. It was more the bigger things, like traveling, going somewhere, meeting people, gaining connections, you know, all of this stuff. But I was still, you know, I'm one of these people that, and I mentioned this before, many of you would have heard me say this, but things like, you know, pink fluffy clouds in the sky, like I notice them and they move me, and they always have. Like, I look at them, I'm like, oh my God, look at those guys, look at that sky. And I will stop people who are with me. I'm like, can you please stop and look at these clouds? Most people, or many people, they don't really, you know, they don't feel the need to do that. They're almost taking it for granted, which I think is very common, and there's nothing wrong about that. But what I've recognized in myself is that, you know, I stand there and I'm looking at these clouds and I can actually start crying because I'm so moved by them. I feel so alive and I feel so connected and I feel so present. And for me, that's become even more important. Like, to answer your question, why it's so important to me now, is because I finally have come to a point in my life and with my relationship to myself where I'm recognizing that this is what I do and that's what actually makes me feel alive. So I do help others through the teachings that I can offer, like what I can bring you, I want to bring you this. It may not be the one and only way, it may not be the one and only truth, but it is a truth that I can share. So I want to share my experience. I want to share how I got there, and I want to share like the vibrancy of life with others, because it is there, and this is one way how to get there.
So true.
Mm.
And that makes me wonder, amen. Actually, there's nothing to add there, but it makes me wonder, how do you get there? How, like, you know, like, what is like one way? I know there's many, but what is your one way? And I think like you touched it already, to get there, to see the experience magic in everyday life. And I feel like the moment you experience magic in everyday life, it has a lot to do with happiness also, of how you look at life, of how you experience life. I think that for me is where the happiness starts.
Yeah.
It's not the big things, it's a decision also, but how can you get there? How do
Well,
you do it?
I love what you were saying before, actually, that it starts with a decision. So that's a very logical way to go about it, and I really agree with that. That's not what I necessarily would have thought that I was doing, but to be fair, yeah, it did start with a decision, like actually starting to decide. You know, for me, it's more like starting to decide to stop and not clutter my diary, not clutter my days, not clutter my head with information, just like allow things to kind of be there and just like flow through it all and be present and be connected. But what I, you know, in my teachings and the things, when I have these conversations, like what I say is just like really tap into yourself, get to know yourself. What does excite you? Like, it can be small things. Maybe if you like journaling, maybe you will be writing like a script of your perfect day, and you'll start seeing these things that come up, like, well, I had this beautiful coffee in the morning and I'm waking up in this lovely bed, you know, and you'll start seeing these things that you described, things that make you happy. Well, these are things that actually will turn you on and make you feel alive. So you're going to start recognizing these small things, and then as and when they're happening, clocking that, oh, this is one of those things, and actually, okay, I'm going to enjoy this now. So as you mentioned, like, that's where the decision comes in, like actually stopping to pay attention to that one thing that is happening, that you created for yourself. That we drink coffee pretty much every day. A lot of people do that. We drink water, we eat food, we take it for granted. But really just stopping in your tracks to be like, okay, well, I'm not just going to drink the coffee, I'm going to smell the coffee, I'm going to feel the coffee, and I'm going to pay attention to how my body reacts to it. That's already 4 things you can do with one cup of coffee, and there's plenty more.
You know what? And that reminds me of an exercise I love to teach and I love to do. And I think it's the same thing, just coming from another perspective, is that I believe you can feel pleasure and experience pleasure everywhere. And pleasure is something that a lot of people put in the bedroom. They put it together with sex, with being intimate. But for me, I've experienced that if you cannot experience pleasure in your everyday life, you won't be able to really experience this when you want to be intimate. So pleasure, for like an amazing exercise to experience pleasure, is with food. And that's what you just said. And it starts with, you need to be really, really present and to experience the things that you're doing or eating or drinking with all of your senses. And it's like, that's where they touch. You know, and I love to do it with vegetables. Just take a banana, to take it and then eat it the most pleasurable way that you can. You seriously, it turns me on so much. I can really get hot by eating a banana. Yeah. And that's like where for me it starts, where life can be so juicy. And it also, like, you know, it shows me also the sexual energy is like not only in the bedroom, but it's everywhere. And for me, they are connected. That if you are present, if you allow yourself to really dive into what you're doing, you can experience pleasure in everything. And that just popped up in my head when you just said that, you know, because it's really close.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful tool to use. And I guess something that we maybe could mention now as well, we might have mentioned it, we should have mentioned it earlier, maybe it's good for us to mention it at all, is that when we're talking about this turn on and this pleasure, we don't mean, as you just mentioned, it's not just the sexual pleasure. I mean, yes, they're interlinked. You know, it's like a similar sensation, and your body will react in a similar way with the endorphins and all of these like excited hormones and everything that's happening physically with you. But when we're talking about this turn on, it is that type of turn on, but it's not a turn on from sex necessarily. It can be, but as we mentioned, you know, it's the small things that we find turn on in life. I feel like this is something I do really want to clarify, just in general, to educate people, because as you mentioned, it's not just for the bedroom, and it's not just with a partner. It's not just masturbation. It's not just these things. It is literally everything can be turned on. And as I mentioned, for me, it's very much around the sensation of feeling alive.
Yeah, we should have actually started with that. I didn't,
Okay.
because I've been talking about it so much that for me it was so clear, but it's true. Turn on is also an expression a lot of people associate or link with you being sexual.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the moment your life becomes a turn on, that's gonna change a lot.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, I mean, you touched upon this as well, like bringing those sensations. I feel like the sensation of pleasure and the experience that we have with pleasure, wherever it comes from, if it comes from the daily experience that we just talked about, we can utilize this to create this like circular sexual turn on within our bodies as well, to then utilize within the partnership, within the bedroom, within the sexual and sensual encounters with other people, because we're then more in tune with our physical being, we're more in tune with our emotional being, we're more intimate with ourselves, and then we can also bring that level with, you know, into these situations when there's maybe someone else included, or if it's a personal self pleasure practice where, you know, I know you talked to Zara last week, so you can even bring these emotions and experience into something like that, to like really tap deeply into these parts of yourself.
So true. Yeah. And love, you know, I was just wondering, to come from a different from the different side, what do you think, like if we don't find magic in everyday life, if we don't do these things, what, like, how do you ask the question? Like, what changes is it going to make in your life the moment you tap into a turned on life? But what are people missing out if they don't? Because I think a lot of us don't. I think we are not taught to do this. We are not taught to find the magic everywhere. I think it's like the opposite, you know. We are taught to be strict, to be productive and efficient, and we forget about these things. We lose them on the way. So what are we missing out on? Like, what is it that you know, that we, how do you say it in English? But I think you get my question,
Yeah,
huh?
what we're missing, what we're not experiencing,
Yeah.
what we're not getting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand you. So, I mean, for me, it makes me really sad to think about this, and this is why I really want to bring this to the people, because from
Hmm.
when I'm not feeling turned on by these small things, everything just gets kind of gloomy and gray, and I get really heavy and dampened physically. Like I start feeling really
Hmm.
kind of closed and agitated, and you know, there's a sadness that resides within me if I don't see the beauty, because also I know there is so much beauty, so if I don't recognize it, that's part of it. But also, if you've never seen that magic and you're not getting there, I feel like you put it quite beautifully earlier when you were saying, like, we're very much taught to just go a straight line, to
Hmm.
focus forwards and to operate, and we have to be very hard and very forward pushing. um and I feel like, you know, some people may be okay with that life, you know, to just do that, and that can really satisfy them. But I feel like they're really missing out on the vibrancy of the opportunity that we have here.
Hmm.
Like this
And
planet, just in itself, with all the colors, like how magical aren't they? They're so beautiful. And if you don't stop to enjoy them, you're just not, you know, you're not being moved. I find as well that potentially, I do believe that every person is a creative person. And I do feel like if you're not tapped into that part of yourself where you're experiencing life, you're not feeling alive, you're not feeling vibrant, you may not tap into that creativity in that way that you maybe have the potential to then create and birth something.
and that way you're not really using your essence, I think, huh? You're not using your true you. And it's just like you know, just like all, like a picture just showed up in my head when you just said that, is like, I think I think what's happening right now in life, like not everywhere, is that we're getting further and further away from exactly what we're talking about, because people need, like, a lot, like, commercial is telling us that we need more and more and more and more to be happy, to be turned on, to experience pleasure. And I think that's the thing. You're going to need more and more and more and more from the outside. And if you don't get that, then, you know, it's like you're addicted to more. And I think it's like, I think you need to stop right there and to come back to yourself and to you, because you're able to create that in your own life, you know, just here, just where you are.
I agree with you. How would you answer that question you just posed to me? What would you say that you're missing out on if you're not experiencing this turn on that we're talking about in your life?
I think you're missing out on life. Really, you're missing out on life. Because I think that's another thing also, that I don't know how many people think that they're here on earth to live life, to experience life. So for me, I'm here to really live life, to just live it. And I'm living it by just, I'm looking outside, just seeing the mountains there. I'm living here by taking everything that comes to my life, by taking every experience and to live it. Today I was laying on the couch, I was not feeling well, and I can decide, and I'm not always able to do it, but I can decide to go into it, to experience it, and to really live it. Or, to be too mad about it, to be in resistance with life and what is happening. So I think if you're going to miss out on living, on really experiencing life, and that's just like, when I just said that, I realized to be turned on doesn't mean that it always has to be something positive. It can only also mean that, turn on to everything that's happening in your life, to be open to what's coming your way, and to seeing the opportunity to grow maybe. Or I think also that like there's a part inside of me that wants to experience sadness, and sadness can be really, really amazing. I love to cry. Or madness, or whatever, can be pain, even pain. Seriously, it sounds so stupid, but I experience the beauty in pain the moment you stop the resistance and you give into it. So that for me also means to be like, to be turned on in a way, is to open up to everything that comes in your life, and to allow it to go through you and to experience it.
Yeah, I love that you said this, because that is so true. We very much focus as human beings, when we want to improve our lives, we focus on the good stuff. We focus on how we can get more, as you mentioned, more of the good. But I do believe, like, being turned on is being present in everything that comes your way. And I was going to say, when you were talking about yourself with your period and lying on the couch not feeling well, I was going to say, well, how beautiful isn't even that, to be present when you're with your body shedding, and just like finding the magic in what your body is doing right now, and finding the magic that you have the capacity, you have built a life where you can create the space to lay on your couch, to experience the shedding within your own womb space, and just allow that. Like, that in itself, yes, it's uncomfortable, yes, it's painful, but as you mentioned, it's really beautiful. And I said this to one of my friends as well a couple of weeks ago. He's going through extreme heartache, and I was saying, well, through the depths of pain, there is so much beauty that comes from there. And that's just what it is. Like, when you allow it, you need to allow it. You can't just let things fly past you. You need to, as you mentioned, like, you want to bring them in and feel them and allow them to move you. And not only that way, but at the same time, they will something will shift. You will gain a new perspective as well. Something will happen.
So, and that's the thing. I think a lot of times it's resistance that is making the experience so bad. Because, like I told you, I told you, and I usually share really open about these things. I went through a really, really bad pain last week, like heartache, like a really old wound. And for the first time, really, I was able to give in to the pain. Like, and the pain, seriously, I thought it was going to kill me. I couldn't hold it. Like, I thought it was going to destroy me. But seriously, in the moment I let go, the first time ever, I was able to witness the beauty in it, and I could feel that the pain is my friend, and I felt love for it. And that was a beautiful moment that I wouldn't want to miss. And I know maybe some people are going to think, you guys are crazy, what are you talking about? But really, it's true. You can find something in pain. Even I think it's because we're resisting so much, because we grow up judging feelings and emotions. We grow up saying that pain is not good, that suffering is not good. I think if we wouldn't do that, we would, everything would be different. And it's because we do that, it's that we're resisting, and that's when it comes so bad.
Yeah, it's all part of the human experience, right? And that's actually not a term I like to use, the human experience, but it's true. It is the human experience, and we want to, like, why wouldn't you want to? We are human beings. Why wouldn't you want to experience it all? We have such capacity for deep love, and where there is, deep potential pleasure, there's also deep potential for pain. So, like, they're opposite each other, and being able to go to both directions with the same thing at different times in itself as well, it just creates this huge expansiveness if you allow yourself to be present with it. And I feel like it's really, for me, that's what it comes down to, like, being present and experiencing what's happening with you right now, what's going on around you right now.
Yeah. Mm. And I think I have one more thing to add that just came because I was just thinking about a beautiful woman, and I think a lot of us can, identify ourselves with that. That she is going through a time that she's not happy where she is right now. She doesn't like her job. She wants to change it, but she doesn't know where to go. And I think in these moments when you're in a time in your life where you're not happy and content, but you don't know where to go, I think that's when it's the most important to slow down, to be present, and to find the magic in everything that you do. Because otherwise, if you don't, then it can really bring you in a state of depression. I think it can really, pull you down. But I think even in these moments, you could find the magic. You can find, you can find the beauty in the things that surround you. And I think it's like, even like in these moments, it's the most important to practice it. I think it's a kind of practice.
It is a practice. You need to work on it. It's not like, I mean, yes, I mentioned that when I was a teenager, I find a lot of enjoyment in life in general, but we're not generally born. We don't have to be born with it. Maybe we are born with it actually, but then social conditions removing it from us. We're growing up, as you mentioned, to believe that we have to work and we have to suffer and we can't enjoy life unless it's the weekend, and we can't enjoy life unless it's on a holiday, and these things. So we need to start breaking down the social conditioning. And also I feel like what's also really, really important here for social responsibility that we all have as human beings, we also want to encourage others to enjoy pleasure, and not just in the way that we're doing through our work, because obviously we are talking about turning your magic on, turning your life on, turning yourself on. This is our work as well, but also from friend to friend outside of this particular circle within this particular work, encouraging others. Yeah, of course you deserve a night to yourself. Of course you deserve and should take time to yourself to do whatever you want to do. Of course you don't always have to be working. Of course you don't always have to be doing chores. Of course you don't always have to be suffering and having all of these external factors creating a dampening on your life, and I think really that is something we're not so good at as a society. If someone tells you that they're taking 3 days off because they want to, it's like, really? How can you do that, and why would you do that? These are the questions that come up, and I feel like we want to shift that narrative. Life isn't like that anymore, and it doesn't have to be that way anymore.
No, it doesn't. And we can change, I think we can change it bit by bit in our surrounding. Do you have anything else that you want to add to this topic? Because I just feel like we really, I feel like everything is said. But do you have any?
I mean, I know with your program as well, there's hours and hours and hours of teachings and thoughts and ideas. And, one thing that came to mind just when you were asking this now, I feel like also, to go back to that initial question we had, how do we turn, well, I say turn your magic on. So how do we turn our magic on? How do we start seeing the beauty around us? I also feel like it's actually quite a courageous thing to choose to do, because it's not what we're used to. It's not what's common to us. It's not what people do as a general, of course, not everyone, but I feel like, you need to be a little bit courageous. You need to tap into what is it that ignites me? What is it that could ignite me? Trying out new things. Maybe you've always said, I'm never going to do a sound bath. Why would I do that? I've never heard of it. And then you're courageous and bold and you go to this, and it might be the most transformational, incredible thing you've ever done in your life. So being bold and allowing yourself to step out of your comfort zone, to explore new things, but also and taking it back to this, exploring being present. Because the distractions we have around us with all of our phones and the TVs and people, everything, that's the easy option. That's the easy option of how to be, always distracted. And I feel like the harder option a lot of the time is to remove all of these distractions, be with yourself and connect to you and get to know yourself intimately. It can be really scary. I remember when I started the journey of getting to know myself, I was scared shitless, because I had this idea that I was a really crazy, psychopathic, horrible, naive, childish girl still. And it was really scary for me to get to know myself. But the more I started peeling off those layers, I realized actually this is a wonderful woman underneath all of this. And, from there, it was hard. But I a place where I started getting to know myself. And then from that, I started getting to know the things that, you know, I can indulge in and that I enjoy.
I love that you just dived into that, you know, because I think that's the thing also. You're not going to find the magic in your phone, maybe sometimes, but I think the magic you will find when you connect to yourself. And yes, you need to be courageous, because then it also means that you need to be able to be by yourself. You're going to find the magic when you connect to nature, but a lot of times when you are alone with nature, not when there's a lot of people around. It's like then when you find the magic, you know, within. And also, I think you need to be courageous, because the moment you turn your magic on, you are going to change. It's going to bring you in your light. You are going to be radiant. And I think that, well, I experienced that it's going to trigger people maybe, because, you know, they haven't experienced you that way. And also it's going to show them maybe that they don't allow themselves to be in the magic yet. So it does something to people, and a lot of times it's going to change you, and it's going to change the people maybe surround you, and it takes courage. It does take courage.
It does,
but it's worth it, huh?
It is so worth it, but it can be a very painful experience. You said, like, dive into the pain, but very much like the shedding of the layers. And you know, when you're shedding layers, that means also shedding, as you mentioned, the people, maybe changing your surrounding, maybe realizing that where you are isn't what ignites you. So your whole, as you mentioned, your whole life can change, and that, you know, can be very scary.
Yeah, it can be.
Lean into it.
Wait, can you say it again, love?
Yeah, I'm saying lean into it, allowing that scary feeling to just be there, lean into it, and create the excitement and magic in that as well, however scary it may be.
Yeah, it's so true. Thank you for that. I think, yeah. And I had one more question, Siri, that just popped up. Love, how do you create your kind of magic in your everyday life? So how did you create magic in your day to day? If you look back.
So I've actually had a really fun day. I booked this really beautiful venue. So I've been working all day. I've been shooting content for my new app that I've just that is launching to the public very soon. But I've been creating content all day, so that's been really fun in itself, like super magical. As I mentioned, I'm just in the start of my spring on my cycle, so I'm feeling like really excited and have a lot of ideas. But even though I had this like big day planned, I've done quite a few things actually to create magic. So I started the day with going out for a beautiful walk in the forest, catching up with friends on voice notes. Then I had a really beautiful banana pancake breakfast with my man and a lovely cup of coffee. And I had in my head thought that I'm going to be at this venue that I booked out at like 10-ish maybe. I didn't get there until 11:15, because I also went past a florist to pick up some fresh flowers because I wanted them with me all day, and I got them at home now. And it doesn't have to be like gaining things, but like these are the things that I've done for myself today. Then while I was in this venue, and yes, I could have been using all this time to create all this content, but I realized that their restaurant was open and I'd never been to it. So I was like, I'm gonna go and just enjoy this lunch. And I had this lunch on my own, and it was the most delicious lunch I've eaten in years. I feel it was so beautiful. So just being tantalized by that food and allowing myself to be moved by that food. And I saw the chefs walking around, so I made a massive point as well of letting them know how much I appreciated what they had been creating. And also the staff who were there, like just really allowing them to see my gratitude for them having their space open and for them being welcoming, and that, you know, that to me is creating the magic, because I'm interacting with someone and I'm really sharing something I'm appreciating. Because a lot of the time, again, with people, they don't say when they like something. They just take it for granted. And you know, they might say when they come home, I had an amazing lunch today, I love the space, but they don't tell the people who created it. And I feel like that is like, there becomes this like beautiful energetic interaction then. Like, we're not saying much, but I'm letting them know my gratitude, and you know, just feeling that energy that they can share with me as well is nice.
That's amazing. And you know what, in your sharing just now, there were so many amazing things that it's like the simple tools, everybody knows them, but it's what you need to create magic, I think, to be grateful. you know, to speak it out, to share it with people, because the moment you do, you're going to see their smiles. You're going to feel that they feel, you know, that they feel seen, and that's going to lift us up, because that's what we love. You know, we like to make people feel good. So that's where you create magic right there. And there are just a beautiful sharings there. Thank you, love. And I'm just going to read this real quick. Drawing of mine at the background.
So Nicholas destroy.
That's amazing.
Yes. It's really beautiful. He's made a couple of mine. Really lovely.
Thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I love your day. I would have liked to live it. It sounds like a really amazing day.
It's a really amazing day. And this is the thing as well. Like, I was just in this venue, like flowing around. I didn't create as many pieces of content that I had envisioned that maybe I would do. But, you know, the old me would have been really stressed about that and been like on a schedule and really pushy and very masculine about it. But I was just like, no, this is amazing. I'm enjoying this, and I'm enjoying this lunch, and I'm sitting here and I'm taking this space in. And I had a tea that I made that I had brought with me as well, and just like being present in that moment and just, you know, being there. So I'm very grateful as well to myself for having been able to take myself to this position, you know, because it's not how I've not been like this. And I'm still, and I guess it's worth also mentioning, like, I'm still very proactive and I'm still very driven. So these things haven't gone missing, but I'm also not anymore verging on burnout all the time. Yeah. So it's a balance.
You know what? And that would be another beautiful topic to go into. Maybe we should do that, because a lot of women always, they want to, like, especially the ones that are self-employed, that have their own business, they wonder how they can create a business where they are in their feminine flow. And a lot of times I think they only want to be in the feminine flow. And I don't want to tap into that. I just thought it was really interesting what you said. And they don't want to have the male energy anymore. And I think both of them are needed. So, you know, how you just described it is like just beautiful, because that for me is to be in your femininity, in your feminine energy, but to still be able to have your business, right?
Yeah. To be productive and everything. Very, very much so. It's very important. And this is the thing, like when I was younger, just very briefly, this is not what we're talking about in terms of the topic, but as we're talking about it now, I was very much in my feminine. So I was a very naive, very, you know, living life very haphazardly, burning all my money, basically just having all the fun. And that was great, but very much in that too much of a wounded feminine, in the sense that I was procrastinating. I got nothing done. So then I started my business, and I went all the way to the masculine, and I drove myself into it. So through both of these experiences, I found, you know, this happy medium where I am utilizing the strengths of both parts of myself. So, but yes, as you mentioned, that's a different topic. We can talk about that separately.
Yeah, I just felt like mentioning it. Thank you, lovely.
Thank you.
How do you feel? Do you feel like it's complete? Do you feel like there's anything still?
Well, I feel like I can talk to you forever. It'd be beautiful.
We can just talk, and if whoever wants to listen can listen.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, one thing that we could also mention as well on turning magic on and like being in the moment and everything. This is actually quite cute, and this is something that I brought in more so recently, because I haven't again been like this at all. But playfulness, allowing yourself to be playful, that is a very sweet, gentle vibration. It's very light and it's very joyful and happy. And I think if you're playful, that takes you back to that child that you were once, that weren't socially tarnished with how we should be living life and doing life. And when you're playful, you might tap into that younger child of yours, like your inner child, almost like your younger girl or boy. And you might just through that as well start experiencing the magic in a different way. Just look at life through eyes.
I love that. You know, I love it so much, because my little girl, actually, she's part of my everyday life. And there's no day that she isn't here. And I think it wasn't always that way, but nowadays it is. And I love that, because that's the moments when I experience most magic. Like we have a pool right there, and there's a huge unicorn swimming there. And
Yeah.
that's just like where I allow my little girl to take over and to decide what she wants and what she needs. And that's where the magic is. So I love that, you know. I think it's like an add-on to the playfulness is to allow yourself to be childish, allow yourself to make a decision that comes from your from your child, from your inner child, or whoever, however you want to call it, you know. But she knows where the magic is, you know. Even I talk to my man about, like, sometimes we talk to each other and it's a little boy and a little girl talking to each other, but it's the cutest little thing and it's just so magical, you know.
That's so sweet. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm.
But I do have a question, like maybe you want to define that a little bit more. What do you mean exactly with playfulness, or how can you be playful?
Mm. Again, I think that's very unique to each individual, what
Hmm.
playful means to them. For me specifically, it means maybe saying yes to things and like removing the rules in like a good way. So like removing the things of what you should be doing and feeling into what you want to be doing, and allowing yourself to be light and not so structured, and allowing yourself to say yes to things and do things like even tapping into things that you would have liked to do as a child. Like I loved running around naked and bare feet on grass and jumping through, that's like water sprinkler thing, you know, that on grass,
Yeah.
and like jumping up and down and through it. So I haven't done that for years. So, but even just like thinking about that brings that playfulness in me.
Hmm.
And then you're interacting with someone else, it doesn't have to be so stern and, all the time. It can be just like light.
Hmm. Yeah, I like that a lot. Mm. I think you seriously, I love talking to you because just now there's like like at least two or three things that just popped up that we could continue talking about. But I think we said so many beautiful things, and we just have to do another call. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
thank you so much for having
Amazing.
such an honor.
Thank you so much for sharing, for being here. Mm. I at least know why I needed to hear this. I love this question that that you talked about Hannah before, and
Yeah.
Hannah Augenstein. She's one of our, well, how do you say, mutual coaches? Is that the word you use? Yeah. And she always has the question, why did you need to hear this today? And
Mhm.
maybe everybody, who listened, maybe you want to ask yourself the question, why did you need to hear this today? Well,
Yeah.
I do know why I needed to hear it, and I'm really grateful for that.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing and for being here.
Of course, my absolute pleasure. And thank you as well for inviting.
Mm,
And to add on as well of the list of magic for today, this is for huge magic. Just this being here with
mm.
you. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Annie. And I am just going to put all your information and everything
Thank you.
underneath the video so they can follow you, they can find you. And maybe just like one thing, you want to share real quick about your app, because I'm really excited also.
Ah,
What is it and when is it going to be launched? Because
oh,
it's all about this.
oh my gosh. Yes, of course. Very exciting. So I'm building an app. It's already in the testing period. So I've got 12 founding members that are currently using it. They've been using it for 2 weeks. It's very exciting. So it's called Super Women Alchemists. And when you join the app, your journey is to become a turned on superwoman. So within this app, you're going to be finding masterclasses and workshops in different topics that will ignite new ways for you of thinking and embodying different things in your life, and like really question and be inquisitive about like how you want to live your life yourself, of like creating more vibrancy, creating more connection, creating more turn on, creating more pleasure, all of these things. Then there's also like this beautiful part, and this things that I was recording today is my wild woman workouts. So these different embodiment practices, flows, very sensual, very connecting. We use our own hands a lot. There's a lot of sensual movement and touching of ourselves. We have superwomen challenges, which are like superwomen expansion. They could be journaling. We could be doing self-pleasure practices and affirmations, mantras, visualizations, meditations. There's like all of these things in there that are the tools that I have used myself to get myself from the place that I was, which was very not turned on, very much burnt out, very, very disconnected, to becoming this empowered and excited woman that I am today. So I want to share all these things. And what's really beautiful is that there's a community we're creating as well. So there's a sisterhood community in there that is over time growing and growing and growing. And it's already so powerful that I feel extremely humbled that this is something that I have birthed it into life, and it's all happening. So the public launch is in September. The date is yet to be confirmed to follow, but it's going to be towards the back end of September. So if that's
I
something
am
that...
so excited. This is amazing. Now keep on going. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, if someone is interested in that, drop me a message through or sign up to my newsletters, and you'll be the first to know, because the opening date will very, very soon be revealed, and it's very exciting. Another thing that's worth mentioning as well is that I'm bringing in guests. So it could be conversations like this. It could be guests that come in to do workshops or masterclasses or movement classes. It could be that they're healers that might provide like a healing session. So it really depends on the guest and what I bring in. But it is insanely moving, transformational, and sensual, and turn on is there, and I feel my fire is just all over the place.
I just love listening to you. I'm seriously, it is beautiful. It's really powerful. It comes from your heart, and you can feel how much on, like, how transformational this is and how deep this goes also. Thank you so much for sharing. It was beautiful. And I'm definitely going to put it under the video, because I think so many women have to know this, because it's so beautiful. I love it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all, sweetheart. Hope you have a beautiful evening. Let's talk sometimes again soon. Thank you.
Will do. Thank you so much. Sending you so much love. And thank you to everyone for being here to listen.
Yes.
Looking forward to being with you all.
Yeah. Kisses and love to all of you. Bye. Bye.